Okay, we are live today with Sara
Hi.
Wells O'Malley. And we're going to be talking about short-term rentals. Now, when I say short-term rentals, everybody naturally, will think of the Airbnb and VRBO and platforms like that. But one thing I think we both want to make sure that you understand that it's not just an Airbnb. Airbnb is just the name of the platform, right?
Yeah.
You have a short-term rental is what we're dealing with here, isn't it? And Airbnb and VRBO and bookings.com, there are a plethora of those type of sites that are out there that allow you to post your listing on them, and they handle bookings and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page, because there are 101 ways to make money in real estate. That's my motto. And I'm going to let Sara tell us about her journey. She just got her first Airbnb, VRBO. She's on a couple of those different shows. So she's got her first short-term rental up and running. And while we wait for a few people to join us today, I'm going to share screen real quick, just so you know what we're looking at. And I'm going to show Sara's cabin. Okay. And then she's going to come back and she's going to tell us her journey, how she got there. Okay. So hold on. I've got it queued up here. Let me share screen. And this is the photos. This is her website. I'll start at the home page. But I think this is beautiful, Sara.
Yeah, we're going to get professional, obviously like a real estate photographer out there. The hot tub is being installed next week. So we're waiting until that's done, and then we can really show it off. But yeah, it's been booking great, and these are for my phone. So
awesome. Yeah, you did great. Well, your real estate background probably helps, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this is her cabin in West Virginia. Okay. Yep. So let me just go ahead and come on back here, and I'm going to let Sara take it away for a few minutes and let us know how you started, Sara.
Sure. So a couple years ago, I'm about almost 5 years in my real estate career. And a couple years ago, my husband and I kind of put in a goal to have a short-term rental by the time that I was 30. Mm-hmm. So that would put him at 35. Mm-hmm. And with the market just kind of exploding the past couple years, I did really well. And we took that money and were able to find something a little bit sooner. So I just turned 28. I think we closed 2 weeks before my 28th birthday. So I was 27. And we just, it's kind of we've been trying to find additional streams of income.
Right.
Like inflation's terrible.
Yes.
The real estate market is definitely slower here in Baltimore than it was. And so we're really glad that we did this when we could. Yeah. We started out just with the idea of we want a short-term rental. We didn't know exactly where, what, how, but we found this cabin, and I grew up in West Virginia. So it's, I knew the area. I knew that I had a sphere of influence that would book it. I knew what I liked when I went to that area and what I didn't like. So, I was able to model it around that. And we're also only 3 hours away. So it might seem, that's a pretty good drive, but it's not terrible if you need to go take care of something or do some work. So yeah, that's where we really started, was finding this specific piece of property, and we were able to negotiate it down. Obviously, my real estate experience helped with that. And it overappraised by $30,000 for more than what we paid. So instant equity. Yeah. So, it really started really well, but that's when the real work was after settlement.
Okay. So did you obtain any type of special financing? I know there's financing that is designed out there for cash flow properties.
So we could have done a second home and just done, I think it was 10 or 15% down. But we wanted to do it the right way, and we wanted to do it for tax advantages. So, as real estate agents, we pay a ton in taxes. So I just want to bring that number down as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I talked to my accountant, and he said, go ahead and buy it with an investment loan under your LLC.
Good.
And keep track of everything like that. We will show a loss, probably the first 5 years, which will help immensely on taxes.
Yes.
And so we did an investment loan with 15% down.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. And then what was your first, after you closed, what was your first plan of action?
So it wasn't, I mean, it's kind of like, what's the plan now? It's a million.
Right.
Honestly, getting my dad down there. My dad is super handy. He's been in construction most of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Got my dad down there and just did some general maintenance. It was a hunting cabin before, and the guy only used it a week out of the year. And, he didn't care. He was just an older guy killing deer in the backyard. So it was not set up to be friendly to anybody.
In West by God, Virginia. Huh?
It was a hunting cabin, which I love, but other people aren't going to. So we did a ton of work. We just got the patio finished a couple days ago. We're getting the hot tub installed in a couple weeks. And those are like the big things. And then all of the decorating and small things you don't think of. That was kind of when we had our first inquiry from a friend, and she said, "Hey, I want to say 4th of July weekend." We were not even close to ready, but I tell you, that week that we had notice, we did so much in that week, just because we had to. So that was, it was kind of when we had to do it, we did.
Yes. Well, that worked out then, didn't it?
Yeah.
And now you're all almost completely booked. So I think that is awesome. Yeah. That is awesome. Okay. And then, so you've got plans, your future plans for how many more, and how do you plan to leverage maybe to obtain those?
Sure. We're trying to keep this as out of our names as possible. So with the LLC, and we kind of have decided that our niche is going to be these either cabins or lakefront homes. Our niche, because we are a family that likes to do things outdoors and we have a kid, our niche is going to be cabins or lake houses with family amenities, room for families, and a ton of outdoor stuff near it. So obviously that's going to put us in, probably we're thinking Deep Creek Lake in Maryland, pretty close to here. Maybe some places in North Carolina. There's some lakes in Virginia that we really like. And the goal is to have 5 properties by the time my son is 18. So he's 3 right now. So that gives us 15 years. So 1 every 3 years. And then leverage wise, because we already have 65,000 in equity in this house. So in a couple of years, we'll take that, just take a HELOC out on that and use it for our down payment for the next one. By that time it's running itself, we're able to pay for that HELOC and the mortgage and still profit. So it's not a get rich quick thing by any means for us. We want to do it the right way, and we want to do it slow and steady, and we want to provide a great product to people and kind of build a reputation. But by leveraging that money that we invested, a couple months ago, we should be able to have 5 by in 15 years.
Good.
If it works out to where we can get more, that's great. But
yes. I think it will probably go faster for you than you are anticipating. I really do. I think you'll be able to profit enough. And if your goal is every 3 years, you should be able to roll a lot of that cash into the next one, and hopefully you'll not have to leverage so much and, get that even mortgage debt down. Now, I don't know, everybody has their own philosophy about debt, but I personally like to be debt free. There are investors out there that will roll over that equity. They live off it, and it's a house of cards to me.
That's the biggest thing with us is we're not going to live off of this profit.
Right.
We're not putting that towards our daily bills. We're not putting it towards, we're only putting it towards the property. If there's any left over, we're saving it. So I'm going to still sell a ton of real estate. My husband's still in the fire department, and he just got his home inspector license. So, we've got a little bit of everything, but this will not be our full-time income. This is something we're going to hopefully sell all of these or make a lot in the long run to where I can retire and, be at my own cabin full time and not have to sell it for real estate.
Exactly. Own your own free and clear.
Yeah.
Did you just say your husband is an inspector and got his inspection?
He's getting, so he just took the class. His test is tomorrow, actually.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And he's a full-time firefighter too. So that's his job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the way to diversify.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now I have an Airbnb as well. And let me share screen real quick because I'm going to share it because we kind of have obtained our both properties or our units differently. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah. So let me show you mine real quick and then I'll share my story, how I started. And I'm loving it. I really am.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a home in Cocoa Beach, not Cocoa Beach, two different places, Cocoa, Florida. And so this is ours. And we went with pet friendly and we're near Disney and beaches. So, this is an Airbnb listing. I have not created this is your own website, correct?
Yeah.
On an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So this is a direct booking site, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this gives Sara the ability to just book her property straight directly with the consumer and not have to post or be dealing with Airbnb itself. Airbnb is, you gotta love them or you gotta hate them, right? It's a platform. They do take your taxes and pay them for you. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The difference between direct book and booking sites.
We're on Airbnb too.
Yeah. Obviously, you want to be out there in the world. That's the truth. But the way I got my Airbnb was a little bit different, and I don't own mine. Okay, so I had this listing in probably 2021, and we had it on the market, and we had it under contract a couple of times. Finally, a cash investor had put an offer on it, and after they did their inspection, they chewed the seller down another $20,000-$30,000. He was selling it for $240,000. He had agreed to at the time, and he did that because he had COVID, and he's an elderly gentleman, and his wife had passed away a few years prior. I have known this client for 15 years. I've sold he and his deceased wife probably 8 or 9 properties over the course of the years. They did investments and rentals and they had moved down to Cocoa, and I assisted them, selling their assets up here where I am. Anyway, come to find out just before closing, and he had COVID, so he agreed to that purchase price, which was very low. There was a title problem. Come to find out, he and his wife had never legally married. They're elderly. They had a ceremony. They had a marriage license, but they never recorded their marriage license of record. Okay. So this, of course, has created a title problem for him that we discovered at the 11th hour just prior to closing. Okay. So we had to, of course, everybody backed out of the contract, and there he is sitting with the house vacant. He had already moved out, moved on. He's up north somewhere. So he's carrying the mortgage on this. So I'm like, okay, this is called arbitrage, right? And I know a couple of ladies that are on my personal newsfeed that are just killing it with arbitrage. And they have a whole business of simply negotiating leases for you if this is some way or that you want to expand or build your business. So that's what I did, is I made an offer to him to lease the property from him. So my corporation, my investment corporation that I flip properties under, entered into a lease with him, and I pay him the rents and I maintain the property. That was our agreement. Yeah. So that's how I control the property. Okay. Now, and I told him exactly what I'm doing. It's all written in our lease that I can sublet it. I'm going to Airbnb it. He understands all of it, and it works out beautifully. Yeah. He gets his money every month. He doesn't have to worry. I get to control the property for 18 months while it's going through probate.
Wow.
And it's a win-win situation. We're just waiting for it to come out of probate, and then we'll put it back on the market, and he'll get more for it now. He'll get more than the 240 because now it's an operating, functioning,
Airbnb.
legitimate, up and running Airbnb
Yeah.
that he can sell. I had to furnish it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Did you have to do repairs too?
No, well, a few. I had to put about $1,000. Like our second guest, the hot water tank gave us trouble. So okay, it's just an element, and then it was something else. So I put $1,000 into the tank, and I did a few, probably another $1,000 in repairs. Just cleaning it up, taking care of because it had been sitting vacant for a while at that point. And then we furnished it, and I didn't go all out with, high class furniture. We picked up good used furniture on Facebook Marketplace. And so we furnished the whole thing, and we bought, of course, a lot off Amazon. When you're setting up an Airbnb, you have to set up the kitchen. And so you're setting up every utensil, every plate, every cup, so you have to sit and think about all of those things that you need in a kitchen, for the bare minimum anyway, to be comfortable, right? And have everything you need. So that's what we did. That's what we have invested in there is the furnishings, which I can sell with the house or, without,
the next one.
So it rents, it averages $240 a night, and it stays pretty consistently booked. Now April was a little shy, but I think each market has a rhythm like everything else. Down here in Florida, we have snowbirds that will come down between October and March, and they'll rent from the month on a month basis. They'll usually rent for 3 or 4 months at a time. Yeah. And we all have, we have events like the Daytona 500. We have Disney World, we have the ocean. So I think it's important when you're looking for locations that see, like your market, you're in your area where
yes,
that is an area where people will come to for certain activities. And I think that's important.
I think that we kind of saw, I even know just when I was looking before, a lot of people are just buying these properties and thinking they're going to Airbnb them, and they're in residential neighborhoods that aren't close to anything.
Right.
And then they're like, well, Airbnb is terrible. I'm not getting any bookings. But you could do that during COVID, I think, because people just wanted to get out. But now that it's kind of getting back to normal, I think we're going to see less of a saturation and more of like the listings that are close to things and actually offer things. They're going to just be more successful.
Yes. And then another aspect I think is really cool that I'm getting into is, have you co-hosted or managed other short-term rentals?
Yeah.
So with that a little bit?
My husband really would love to get into that. Yeah. I think we're a little too busy for that right now, but he has time, I guess. And some of our friends now that, they see our success with it, they want to buy, and they have the means to, so they probably will buy. And I think we might just help them, maybe not manage it once it's up and running, but just, charge like a small fee to help them get started. Definitely something to look, even once I retire from real estate, maybe do that as a kind of side thing. Cause I like to work. I could never imagine myself just retiring and doing nothing, but right now I don't know if I have the bandwidth for all that,
Right. Yeah. That's definitely something to consider. But
I love selling real estate full time too. And that keeps me super busy. So
good. I think when you start putting feelers out, I think it just kind of starts to levitate to you a little bit,
Exactly.
Like, we had gotten that Airbnb up and running in Cocoa, and I was amazed. Like as soon as we went live, we had a booking for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the second booking was for a full month. And it's like, somebody's really going to pay $6,000 for a month? I was astonished.
Yeah.
Snowbirds that come down, for a month.
Yes.
And want the whole family to be joining them. They had their children and their grandchildren.
A week here, a week there.
Yeah. It's perfect to rent a whole house, for that type of thing. And it worked out well. So I was like really encouraged, after our first bookings. And so, we helped a couple of our investors that were liquidating their long-term rentals. And they have a 1031 tax exchange, and they roll their assets over every 5 years. Yeah. So this was the year, and it worked out great. They liquidated, and then I'm like, hey, you guys need to, check out short term, because, they've held long-term rentals for years and years. And I'm like,
the profit
is so much more lucrative.
Yeah. At first we had always, I'd always thought about buying somewhere, because I'm about 30 minutes from Baltimore City. We thought about just buying a row home in Baltimore City, renting it out to the younger crowd, having that long-term investment. But when you're going to make $100, $200 a month, it's not even worth it at that point, No. And whereas with the Airbnb, like you said, I could charge like $4,000 a month.
Right.
And make 3 times my mortgage. So
Yeah. So that's what they did. They liquidated, and then they bought 2 units.
Yeah.
And so I got them up and running. They bought a condo on the beach in Daytona. Perfect. Yeah. Every snowbird wants to come to the beach every winter. And they bought a condo just outside of Disney World. So they'll do great with both of those units. They're in very exclusive areas that have something to offer. So they'll do well. And then after they closed on it, these 2 people are so particular, and they're very savvy when it comes to condos. They've lived in condos themselves. They've been on condo board, the whole 9 yards. So every condo that we looked at for them, it was, always I'm biting my tongue getting them through the review process of the condo and the condo budget, because they'll look at a budget and they'll say, there's no way this condo correctly, So they found this one condo in Daytona Beach. And of course, after what happened at Seaside, where the condo collapsed in Miami, they're very savvy to, budgeting for those type of improvements. And this condo just fit the bill. So I knew if it passed their scrutiny, I went ahead and scooped up another one of my cash investors. Yeah. Another 2 units available in that same complex. You're about to buy one of them units, man. And we were competing against multiple offers, but I got another one of my investors in there to buy another unit in there. So I'll be managing his. Now I do manage his rentals. So it is going to be his first Airbnb. I'll be setting the whole thing up, and I'll be managing that for him.
Wow.
So, and the turnover is much higher. So, even the management, it's not difficult, because, you got your housekeeper is really your boots on the ground.
Yes.
So if you can get a good housekeeper in there and train them well, that's your right-hand man.
My housekeeper has been, a pivotal part of this. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have turnover B&B. There's nobody that really does that.
Right.
And definitely not going to drive out there for cheap, especially with gas prices. So we finally, we found somebody that's starting her own business, and she's incredible. And that, I think you should have that lined up even before you purchase the property, because we were almost screwed. We had this property, and then we're like, well, who's going to clean it?
Right.
Yeah. So,
that's a key element. And I did struggle with that in the first couple of months with our Airbnb. It was like, it wasn't difficult to find somebody in Cocoa. You can jump on Facebook and find a housekeeper. Yeah. Right. But the lesson I learned was, it's all good until you have to get to that $600 mark where you're going to need their tax ID numbers to 1099 them. Yeah. And then they start ghosting you.
Yeah.
So that's what was happening to me. They'll work out for the first 3 or 4 flips, and then they I can't do this anymore, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I figured that out quick. And
Yeah.
then the next time I had to hire somebody, I made that clear up front. I need your W-9. I need your 10, you have to have a legit,
You're going to, yeah.
So I didn't even start, working with somebody until I got that in my hand.
Yeah.
And now I've got a really good housekeeper, and she's been there a long time with me now. So I'm blessed to have her.
Yeah, that is a blessing.
So we have a cabin also, as a lot of in North Carolina, and it's just been a family cabin all these years. We've never even charged our friends to go stay there. But I'm thinking, okay, we need to, that's going to get converted this fall.
Yeah. I give my friends and family and then anybody in the fire department a discount, but it's not, they're still paying. And it is costing me money just to have them there and the cleaning and all of that. So I try to make it affordable because West Virginia is not,
right.
The first thing you think of is poverty when you think of West Virginia.
Yeah.
And I want people to be able to visit there and really enjoy it at an affordable rate. But the whole goal of this is to make money. So it's a fine line where you have to,
yes,
really balance it.
Yeah. Well, last year was just a test run. Actually, I was test running my housekeeper up there.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So, so I got my housekeeper all trained and ready to go, and she is awesome. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she is so awesome. So my next trip in August, we just had a trip there in July for the 4th, and we, bought a new grill.
Yeah.
And we had bought a new couch that we'll pull out into a love, sofa couch. Oh, yeah. So we've got that in there. So it'll sleep. It's got a king, a queen, and it's got a loft that I had some concerns about. I don't know if I want to let kids get up into the loft or not,
So if you look at mine has a loft. And
yes, let me see. Let me share a screen again real quick. Let me see that.
So it has a loft. We added, I don't know what you call them. My dad would know the exact name. So if you look at a picture, these railings.
This one?
See the railings. We added one in between every railing. So they were pretty open.
Okay, I see there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of tell the new versus the old. So we added those railings in. And then right now there's a ladder to get up there. And my mom hates it. I hate it. Who wants to climb a ladder to get into bed? And then if you have to use the restroom, you're coming down. So there you can see the ladder.
Is that right here?
Next week, I'm actually going to go up and meet my contractor there, and we are going to do steps down.
Nice.
So so there will be steps, and it'll be a little bit easier to sleep all those people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a loft is fine as long as you have those steps. I mean, the ladder is hard.
Yeah, we have a ladder too.
Yeah.
And that's my concern.
Yeah. If you can put steps there and make it a little bit easier for people, then I think it's much more attractive to them.
Even if they're like steep steps.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, they're not going to be
really
normal, but better than, you can carry a suitcase up there, whereas now you need like a pulley.
Yes. Yeah. And how much space it's going to take up.
Yes.
You have to be careful. We don't have much space, We
don't either, but we're just going to make it work.
Yep. Well, good. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have any comments? If you've got any comments or anything, go ahead and let us know in the comments. But I think it's been great.
Yeah.
And let's see if we've got any. Let's see. I did have some. Let's see. Let's just make sure that we've touched all the bases. How can you get started? So in a nutshell, you can purchase a unit yourself and get started, or you've got the ability to start with simply leasing a property, or you can start just co-hosting for someone else. All right. And co-hosting, I think, I think that's an awesome business too.
Yeah.
You can make a business out of just co-hosting.
Yes.
Because you can cover the United States. You can cover the whole globe and co-host, so you're not limited at all when it comes to co-hosting. So you can get started 3 different ways there. And, The other question we wanted to address was, what would be your incentive for doing this? What would you say was your incentive?
I mean, I think immediately would probably be tax breaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to be a huge advantage for that. And then
Mm-hmm.
just thinking down the line of, you have to start somewhere. So starting, just really getting started, I think is the biggest thing. People wait too long.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I wanted to do it before 30, because I just wanted to get it done. And then once you start, it's kind of addicting.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
I look at properties literally every day. And I text my husband. He's like, we can't afford that. We just bought one. I'm like, but we can. I'm like, we can.
Like a kid in a candy store, huh?
Yes, yeah. So once you get started, it's addicting. And I think, you're just building that freedom and your financial freedom away from whatever your full-time job is. I'm assuming real estate here, but if the market's bad or if something happens, you're still going to have this to fall back on. So I think it's huge.
Absolutely. Somebody had said that to me one time, do you have some concerns about getting into the short-term rental market coming into a recession? And to me, I said, no, not really, because I know from experience when you're going through these turbulent times that there are people who will have and there are people who will have not.
Yep.
There will always be the haves and the have-nots.
That's just,
So those who have will always travel. They're not going to stop their traveling.
And that's, we started looking in Florida, but then the more we thought about it and kind of looking into a recession and thinking about where everything was going, we said, you know what, let's do something closer that our friends don't have to go on a plane to go to.
Right.
So that if money's tight, it just takes them half a tank of gas.
Yes.
So, we kind of thought about that way too. They can take their own food. They don't have to eat out every night, things like that. So we were kind of conscious about that, but we hope to have one by like a big national park, maybe Yellowstone or Glacier in the future. So
that's a good idea too. Yeah, I think so. And so obviously, I mean, my incentive, of course, is to always diversify my income. I mean, yes, having a solid referral base, nurtured process for your real estate business is one aspect of the business, for me anyway.
Yeah.
I have multiple streams of real estate incentives. I flip properties. I've done REOs, I've done BPOs, I do long-term property management. I've done that for a lot of years. And honestly, when we launched doing property management, when the last market started to crash, of course, the big recession, when we saw the niche that we had to fill for our customers, when everything is going on sale, when real estate drops and everything's on sale, trust me, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Yeah. Right. So we had customers that were very well qualified that obviously things are on sale. They wanted to purchase, but they're not going to let their existing home go. They're not going to short sale their existing home, so that's where we filled that niche. That's where we started our long-term property management.
Yeah. I think
they become rentals. We had, almost 100 rentals at one point.
Your other clients, for me anyway, it's just built some trust and some, if they see if I'm purchasing properties right now, it's a good time for them to purchase properties. Yeah. And, if I'm not just selling you real estate to make a commission, I'm investing my money in real estate. So, if they know that you have that experience and they see that you believe in it, they're more likely to purchase, I think, as well. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's what my two investors did. Yeah. They saw what I was doing, and after doing their own research, they jumped in, and another investor jumped in. So, once you have your own up and running, like I said, I think you start to attract it. You're going to teach another investor how to buy one. Of course, you represent them.
Yeah. It's like when you say you want a black Mercedes, you'll see a black Mercedes every day, right? It comes to you.
Yes. Pregnant women, we'll start to see pregnant women.
Yes. Yeah, we'll notice. You will notice.
Absolutely. All right. So we know what our incentive for doing it was. And we talked about, of course, how it differs from renting out long term. Yeah. There are different rules, regulations, housing, which was kind of astonishing to me in the beginning.
Yeah.
When I still have my long-term hat on,
Yeah.
and then I'm in these, of course, these Airbnb groups, and they talk about just throwing people out.
Yeah, I know.
So that was a little eye-opening for me. I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah. Yep. People.
But it is a little
very
bit different. So
Yeah.
your rules, your laws, and they're a little bit different.
Yeah.
You think that, well, I can't. Then in the beginning, you feel like if you're a long-term property manager, you have to be very careful, of course, with the housing, regulations and everything,
Yeah.
and denying people housing and all that stuff. But
fair housing. Yeah.
you don't have that.
Nope.
In the short term.
No.
You interview inquiries and you can reject them if you want. You don't have to rent. Now, if you do that enough, Airbnb will get pissy, right?
They'll get mad. But I also think another thing to say that's super different that I didn't realize was the cost of insurance for a short-term rental.
Yes.
To have homeowners insurance specifically for short-term is about almost 3 times as much as it would be to have just normal homeowners.
It is.
And so, I mean, when you think about that, like that's it. And of course you're making more renting it out short term, but that's something I didn't realize until we were shopping for quotes and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Now, who did you happen to use?
I went through a broker that I use for a lot of things, but we went through Proper Insurance. There's not a whole lot of insurance companies that do this yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully, in the couple of years, because this has become such a thing, hopefully companies will start reducing those prices to be competitive. But right now they can charge it. So they are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the name I was looking for. Proper.
Yeah.
For short-term rental insurance.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've shared a lot. I thank you for coming on today. This has been fun.
Thank you. Yeah. I love talking about it. If anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. If you want to see wild, wonderful West Virginia, love to have you.
Book a weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.